Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, Shiur Torah, B'HaShem. We're back in Sunny Isles, Florida. We are continuing our series. We are in part 7 in our Bitachon series. B'HaShem, the series is getting a lot of really good feedback. A lot of people are waking up, B'HaShem, and understanding that we have a lot of work to do. B'HaShem, this continuous installment of the Bet Levi Bitachon series that we're doing will help more and more people, B'ezrat Hashem, do tshuva, get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is sometimes can be a little bit of a painful process, similar to how you have to make a diamond. When you make a diamond, it's not exactly a pretty process. My father, God bless him, which the shiur will be for his refuah shlema, also refuah shlema to Doris bat Jora, to Levana bat Sarah, Sarah bat Levana, also Rabbi Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, and all of Am Yisrael B'ezrat Hashem will have refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf. I actually had a refuah shlema list, but I can't find it. Sadly, B'ezrat Hashem, that's what Hashem wants. Hashem knows my intentions. So, my father, God bless him, he's been in the diamond business for over 50 years. And in Israel, I remember when we were kids, he used to have a factory where they would cut diamonds. And once in a while, he would take us there to show us what he does. And I remember when he would have, like employees on both sides, and they would have this machines in front of them, the spinning piece of metal, spinning really, really fast. Take this plier-looking, very, very sophisticated-looking plier. Looks like it's from NASA. That's really big, very, very heavy, and the whole thing is for it to be strong enough to hold this tiny little diamond. And they would simply position the diamond in different directions in order to shape the diamond in a specific way. And that's for the purpose for the light that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, for it to reflect on the diamond and show the diamond's beauty. Now, the process of cutting a diamond is a very tedious process. It's very difficult. If you do it the wrong way, one wrong move, you could actually ruin the whole diamond. A diamond that could be worth even a few $1,000,000 could literally lose half its value in a matter of seconds if you simply cut it the wrong way. If you simply have one mistake, you could ruin the whole thing. I know that there's a famous diamond, I think it's called the Hope Diamond. It's a blue diamond. It's, several hundred years ago, they found it, and since originally finding it, it's exchanged hands several times. Many people believe it's a cursed diamond, because most of the people that have had it, after they took ownership of it, either lost their lives or committed suicide, or other really bad things happened to them. But anyway, this diamond, every time somebody new took over it, whether it was a new king or a queen or somebody else, they always cut it more. They always, with modernized technology, they cut it and shaped it further, but each time they're removing a large part of the diamond away. One of the owners, I remember reading at some point, actually cut the diamond in half, or in so many words, 2/3 versus 1/3, because he said there would be, he would get more value out of it. But the point being, Abotai, is that each time they cut the diamond, number one, they took a risk. Number two, it wasn't exactly, if the diamond had feelings, it wasn't exactly like the diamond was taking a shower. It wasn't a pleasant process. What is this like? This is like a neshama that's undergoing tshuva. If you're undergoing tshuva, if you're doing real tshuva, it is supposed to hurt. It's supposed to hurt. If it hurts, that means you're going in the right direction. If it doesn't hurt, if your life is simple, and you feel like you have emunah in Hashem, and you feel like you have Bitachon in HaShem, and you feel like you're doing all of the mitzvot right, and you feel like everything is going perfect, something's wrong. Something is seriously, seriously wrong. Why? It's not supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be a smooth ride. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created each and every single one of us imperfect. Just like He created man with a imperfect body physically, where we have to have a Brit Milah on the 8th day, He also created us imperfect as far as our character traits. Why? Now you could explain it in a million different ways, but simply speaking, it's because He wants you to be a partner in the creation. So therefore He said, I created you, but I want you to feel like you're a partner of the creation, because then you'll take responsibility for the creation as if you created it. When it's yours, you care about it a lot more than when it's somebody else's. Like the story that we said last week, when it was somebody else's kid, the old woman was saying, oh yeah, don't worry, he'll get over it, it's okay. When she saw the little kid bleeding everywhere, she told the rabbi, don't worry, it's okay, he'll get over it, he'll grow out of it, don't stress out. But the second she found out that the kid that's bleeding is her grandson, she lost her mind. Why? Because when it's yours, it has a different meaning. Once it's yours, you see it as something that is irreplaceable, something that's priceless, something that is more valuable than anything else in the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to understand that same concept and apply that same concept to our life, where you understand that you are part of the creation, you're a creation, but you're also a partner to the creation. So for men, He gave us the first mitzvah of Brit Milah. Once you do Brit Milah, you in essence completed the creation of the physical aspect of it. The woman obviously is also a partner in the creation because she carried a baby for 9 months. So once you understand that you're a partner in this creation, you should, logically speaking, take better care of it. The problem is that the Yetzer Hara is very strong, and since he's in charge of manipulating our memory, when we let him, he helps us forget. He helps us forget all the things that we're supposed to remember every single day. And if we don't remember these things, we can't apply them. If we can't apply them, we start treating our neshamot as if it's abandoned property. We start treating our bodies like it's public property. This is the reason why you see women walking around half naked in the streets without a care in the world. Like no woman that's walking around the way that they're walking around today saying, oh, wow, I can't wait to get home, I have to get a jacket, I have to put something on. No, she's intentionally walking around in an immodest way. Now, it was asked, how come certain rabbis don't talk about this? Why is it that we have a epidemic of immodesty in our generation, but yet we don't talk about it very often? Now, the epidemic is not just in the secular world, because the secular world, you can talk about it until you're blue in the face. Most of them are not really sure if God runs the world. Most of them are not really sure that God said that you have to keep Shabbat. Most of them are not really sure left or right. The epidemic is actually in the religious world. Most communities that you go to today in America, and I'm sure around the world, that call themselves Jewish communities, i.e. religious communities, it's becoming harder and harder to tell that it's a Jewish community. Needless to say, a religious Jewish community. Because the women that walk around in these communities look no different than the secular women. Once in a while you're going to see them wearing a kisui rosh, but you're not going to think it's for religious reasons. Why? Because she still has no sleeves. She wears a kisui rosh. She covers her head with a mitpachat, but she's wearing a tank top. Or she wears a short skirt, so short that if you look at it, it's an isur from a Torah. It's better you die and don't look at her. It's arik ve'al yavo. So how come we have such an epidemic of immodesty at this stage that's reminding anyone that knows a little bit about the Holocaust, reminding us of what happened 100 years ago or 150 years ago, when immodesty hit Germany from the Jewish side to such an extent that for the first time in history, gay performances appeared on screen, with the producers being Jewish. All types of garbage appeared on screen, in theaters. All types of immodesty. One of the documentaries that I saw, it's called Hidden Jews of Germany. Jews that throughout the Holocaust, they weren't caught, they were hiding, they were running away from the Germans, hiding in different people's houses and factories. They got caught, they got out. Now, the story of these people is interesting. I guess it's like an action movie. He was hiding in this place, he was hiding at that place, the Gestapo was chasing him. They put posters out, pretty much most wanted. They were looking for these people, hunting them down throughout Germany, throughout Berlin. But what stands out for me when I watched it is the mindset of these people, that they described themselves or what they were doing, especially a couple of the guys that are now much older. When this was filmed, they were already in their 70s. I'm sure now they've either left this world or they're in their 90s. Hopefully they did tshuva before they left this world. But nonetheless, these people, what was on their mind? They constantly got out. If a normal person knows that the Nazis want to kill them, what do? You hide and you don't get out of your hole. You hide and you don't get out of the hole. But a couple of these guys, they tell their story. It's like, yeah, I went to the beach. But I just wanted to make sure I looked like everybody else. And then they start talking about how they found non-Jewish girls and had intimate relationships with them. This is what you're doing when the Nazis are trying to kill you? This is what's on your mind? Like, you can act, that's, how? How could somebody that's on Germany's most wanted, they want to kill him, they want to kill them, how could you even think about intimacy? How could you even think about anything related to that? How? The problem is, Rabotai, is that when we get so accustomed to the sin, we get to a point that we do it so often, whether it's wasting seed, or marrying non-Jews and having intimate relationship with them, or it's stealing, or it's cursing, or it's yelling, or it's eating taref, or any sin in the Torah. Once you start doing it on a regular basis, the Yetzer Hara gives you the understanding that you need this for your survival. You need this for your survival, even though you don't. But he tells you need it for survival. And you forget where you came from, you forget where you're running from, you forget where you're going to. All you can think about is making more sins. So now, instead of worrying about saving their own lives, they're worrying about having sex. Instead of worrying about maybe trying to help some of their brothers and sisters, they're talking about going to the beach and seeing all types of stuff that's against Hashem. So, today, it's no different. Nothing's changed. In fact, it's worse. Back then, you had to go to a theater to see pornography. Today, you don't need to leave your house. In fact, it's in your hand. This type of garbage, Rabotai Karim, can either destroy you or help you. It'll destroy you for obvious reasons if you use it. It'll help you if every time you stop yourself from doing it, every time you see with your peripheral vision, you know that there's a woman on the sidewalk that's walking that's immodest. Or down the street, she's immodest. You already know it's coming. You can't see the details, but you know it's coming. If you're smart and you believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what do? You look away, you look on the floor, you do everything possible, and once you pass the obstacle, you overcome it. She's gone, she's out of your vision, you don't turn around. You're gone, ask Hashem for whatever you want. Ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for whatever you want. Parnasah, zivug, anything you want, ask for HaKadosh Baruch Hu for whatever you want. Why? That's how significant it is. But if you're going to go look 5 minutes later on the next one, you're lucky you're still alive. Meaning the actual benefit of watching your eyes as men and even women is extraordinary. Because every single time you look at one of these immodest women, you look at something immodest in general, even as a woman, it destroys a little piece of your neshama. And it makes it much more difficult for you to stay holy. It makes it much more difficult for you to understand a Shiur Torah that's supposed to make you holy. Now, why is it that many rabbis don't talk about this? The Sharei Tshuva says, Ish lefi ma'alalo. How do you get to know a person? What does he praise? What does he find extraordinary in life? Who is his hero? Who is his hero? Who does he look up to? If he looks up to one of these soccer players or basketball players or something like that, then I don't know, maybe he's like a basketball. Maybe he's a soccer ball. Maybe he's going to come back as a Gilgul, reincarnation as a soccer ball, so you kick him from here to Gehenom. That's who he is. He's a soccer ball. That's all he is. If that's his hero, is a soccer player that's here today, gone tomorrow, that's him. On the other hand, if his hero is Moshe Rabbeinu, and he learns all of Moshe Rabbeinu's Torah, if his hero is Rabbi Akiva, and he tries to follow all of the things that Rabbi Akiva did to fix himself, if his hero is one of the Gedolei Ador, one of the giant rabbis of the generation, he sees, how did he become a giant? I want to be like him. I'm going to do like him. Not just say, wow, he's cool. Not a superhero like the Goyim have a superhero and they put a poster on the wall. Don't buy anybody's pictures. Emulate them first, then you could buy pictures. The tzaddikim didn't ask you didn't have stores selling their pictures. If the guy has a store selling his pictures, he's not a tzaddik. He's a capitalist. Now, why do religious people have tzaddikim on their wall? Because that's our heroes. We want to remind ourselves, that's what I want to be like. Not because he is so famous. No. I want to emulate him by learning his Torah. I want to emulate him by following his footsteps. The Sharei Tshuva says, if that's your hero, then you have a chance of being like him. In your own level, but you have a chance of being like him. On the other hand, if your hero is Tony Robbins, if your hero is some football player, if your hero is the woman from CNBC that keeps stealing people's money, I forgot her name. If your hero is people that all they do is talk about things that are against the Torah, what does it say about you? Now, Rav Wasserman, alav shalom, simplified it for us. He says, some people have questions about a big rabbi in that generation. We're not going to mention the rabbi's name, because I'm not in the level of any one of these rabbis to mention them by name even. Even though Rav Wasserman said something against him, I could say it. It's not a sin. But Kvod Arav, he was still Talmid Chacham. It's not my battle. The battle of the giants is between them, not me. I'm just mentioning the limud we can learn from it. Rav Wasserman, alav shalom, when they asked him his opinion about a certain Rav in that generation, he was considered one of the Gedolei Adol. But this Rav, he had a very positive opinion about certain Reshaim. So Rav Wasserman says, see, you see the Sharei Tshuva said, Ish lefi ma'alalo. The person, how is he? Who's his hero? If that's his hero, that's him. He says, המשבח מעשים מגונים או מעלל רשעים הוא הרשע גמור ומחלל את עבודת השם יתברך. Somebody that praises the awful things, or he gives praise for wicked people, he himself is wicked. He himself is desecrating Hashem Yitbarach and His name. Meaning, Rabotai Karim, when you go to different people and you talk to them about wasting seed, a lot of these so-called rabbis tell you, no, I don't think it's a sin. I don't think it's a sin. Yeah, but it says in the Shulchan Aruch it's the biggest sin. Not only says it's a sin, it's the biggest sin. Yeah, I don't think it's relevant to this generation. You should know. You don't have to ask this rabbi any more questions. Why? He's not a rabbi. He has officially removed himself from rabbi title. If you ask a rabbi, listen, rabbi, we see in the Keilah, 90% of the women don't know how to dress. Maybe you should say something on Shabbat. Maybe you say something on Shabbat to the Keilah about modesty. You don't have to pinpoint anybody else. Say she's wicked. No one say anything else. But there's a lecture. Mention it as a Dvar Torah. The rabbi says, no, it's not for me to do. Don't worry. You're okay. Why? He's not a rabbi. Don't say, why does the rabbi not say such and such? He's not a rabbi. He's a doll. He's like, those figures that you pull with strings. That's all he is. So anytime you're going to ask a question, why does Rabbi such and such not do such and such happens to be a rule in the Torah, you have to rephrase the question. Why does Joe Smith not rebuke people? That's a mitzvah for the Torah. How come he doesn't rebuke? Oh, maybe he forgot it's in the Torah. But don't say he's a rabbi. Why? A real rabbi, in order for him to be a rabbi, he has to have Yirat Shamayim. He has to have Yirat Shamayim. He has no Yirat Shamayim, he's not a rabbi. Now, how do you show you have Yirat Shamayim? You tell people the things they need to hear, even though it hurts, just like as if you're cutting a diamond. You see, sometimes, once in a while, you get new people in the crowd. And sometimes they come naked to our shiurim. Hopefully you're only looking at me, but I happen to see all of you. And sometimes I see some people forgot their clothes at home. They just come by themselves. What do I do at that point? If you pay attention to the words that are coming out of my mouth, what do I do? The whole lecture changes. Plan A was lecture A. Plan B was when they arrived. Why? That's what we need to hear. If somebody thinks this is not a problem, they can't be a speaker. So you see, the lecture is about Bitachon. But we need to answer a very, very serious question. Why do certain rabbis not say the full truth? The real reason is because they're not rabbis. They're simply just like the crowd, but they happen to have a speaking gig. That's it. Don't blame the Torah. Don't blame Hashem. Don't blame the religion. They're just people. This is a very important point that each one of us has to fix in our mind. Why? Because if you're going to look at every single guy with a beard and say, oh, he's a rabbi, but he's not doing such and such, within 2 weeks you become a kofer gamur. Why? After 2 weeks you get sick of it. There's so many liars in the world. Say, you know what? The heck with it. I don't want to... If the rabbi is like this, if the rabbi, his wife is Shem Erachem, she's walking more immodest than the rest of the Keilah. If that's the rabbi, I don't want to, he's not my hero. I don't want to be like this guy. And the one that's in the picture is too far from me. Rav Ovadia is too far from me. Rav Eliashiv is too far from me. So what can I gauge it against? I have the rabbi over here that his wife walks around Hashem Yachem. Her and the fish have the same outfit. And then I have Rav Ovadia, Rav Eliashiva, all the Gedolei Hador, too far from me. I have nothing to gauge, I give up. So please, before you call somebody a rabbi, don't look at their business card. Listen to what they say. Listen to what they say. If they say truth, rabbi. They don't say truth, another person in the Kehillah. So with that being said, we have a series in our hands that's very important in order for us to overcome. In order for us to overcome the TIKKUN that we have of this generation of many false speakers, many disasters that are happening, Hashem Yachem, on a daily basis. Every day there's somebody that calls me with horrible news. Somebody is sick, somebody is dying, somebody already died. Just a week and a half ago, 2 people died in the same day. I mean, the amount of bad news, you don't want to leave the bed. Ashrechem that you don't get all this news. Baruch Hashem. I mean, you never get these news. But that's unfortunately one of the downsides of the job. You get everybody's bad news. Good news, rarely. Why? Because good news, they're too busy celebrating. People call you like it's 911. Why? They need help. Racha, tzlacha, something, tefillah. Baruch Hashem, some of the people that invested into the Kever Rachel campaign that we have already gave us positive responses, Baruch Hashem, that their prayers have been fulfilled. So that's worked. Shiurim, anyone that sponsored Shiur has usually had very good blessings in their life. People that continuously contribute to Kiruv, Baruch Hashem, their lives have changed drastically and it's improved their life a lot. But unfortunately, what could I do that most people are either too cheap or too stupid to listen to the advice that we give? I'm not really sure. People think that this is some money-making operation. Trust me if I tell you. If I wanted to make it a money-making operation, I can make it into a money-making operation. I used to raise $10, $20 million a month from clients for business. 5 years we're doing this, 6 years we're doing this. I've never asked one person for $1. And usually when people tell me, oh yeah, I'm going to contribute, I say, contribute what you want. No, what should I do? I don't know. It's your business. Why? I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with the money aspect of it. But one of my students from Montreal, Tadik, he told me last week, you know, Rabbi, I need you to remind me to donate. I was looking to myself, I have to remind you to donate? Why do I have to remind the kid to donate? Why do I have to remind people to donate? Don't you get it? 3 hours you listen to Shiur Torah. You didn't get the point. Donate $10, donate $100, donate $10,000. You didn't get the point? No, people don't get the point. Why? Yetzer Hara is very strong. And I see that sometimes I have to listen to my students, so I took the advice. Another student of mine from Chicago, Baruch Hashem, already a few years, she says that apparently we've been in her life since one of her kids was born and influenced her life, Baruch Hashem, all the teachings, all the things. And she says, listen, I want you to do the chalake, the upsharing, it's called in upsharing. Am I pronouncing it right? Upsharing, yeah. So it's when the boy is 3 years old. It's a minhag. It's not halacha. It's a minhag to not cut the hair for the boy for the first 3 years. Similar to how you're not allowed to use the fruits of a tree for the first 3 years. So the Ashkenazim call it upsharing and the Sfaradim call it chalake. It's the same thing. So she says, I want you to cut the hair. I've done it once for somebody that asked me to do it. I don't know why people ask me to do it, but anyway, I guess, they have some respect, Baruch Hashem. They want to give quote for the Torah that we teach. Shtabach Shemo. We don't complain. But anyway, she says to me, I want you to do it because you've been such an important person in our life, and I want you to do it. Now, I know this woman is not exactly made of money. She doesn't have much money. So this trip that I'm not going to Chicago. She wants to come to Florida. Or what doesn't make a difference, really. It's a lot of money. There's the plane, there's the hotel. It's not for one person. It's an event. It's a lot of money. You're talking about at least a few $1,000s. She said, I'm already going to start saving. I'm going to start saving now because I have, I think another 6 months or something like that. I'm going to start saving. I want you to do it. So I thought about my student from Montreal and I said, you know what? Maybe I'm going to use his advice. I'm going to use it as advice. So I said to her, it's a very nice minhag. It's not halacha. It's not halacha to not cut the hair, but it's a nice minhag, and if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. It's not a problem. We're doing it with our sons, B'HaShem. It's very, very cute. I don't necessarily recommend doing what some parents do, which is they pretty much give the entire neighborhood, a piece of hair, so the kid is traumatized at the end of the day. He doesn't want to ever get another haircut in his life, because 87 people he's never seen in his life just cut his hair. Usually you should pick one person, that's it, finished. That's what you should do. But sometimes I've seen people try to have the whole community take a piece of this kid. It's not a good thing. It's not a good suggestion. You traumatize the kid. Anyway, I said to her, I'm like, listen, it's a very nice thing. You want to give kavod for the Torah, Baruch Hashem, I appreciate it. But truth be told, what's really going to come out of it? Okay, so you gave me kavod. Thank you very much for the kavod. But where is really going to come out of it for you? Better yet, what's going to come out of it for the kid? Kid's 3 years old. He has some stranger that he sees on the screen every day. Cut his hair. What's going to come out of it for him? Okay, so let's say there's a mitzvah. You get kavod for the Torah. Good, but that's it. It ends at that point. It ends. But if you take those few $1,000s and instead of spending it to come over here, you actually donate it to Kiruv. We take those few $1,000s, we buy CDs with it. We send them to India. We send them to Chicago. We send them to Toronto. We send it to Zimbabwe. We send it to wherever people have not heard of us yet. We send it over there. Now, if we're going to send them 3,000-4,000 CDs, surely 800 of them are going to listen to it. 80% go in the garbage. They just go on a shelf and collect dust like some people's bookshelves. They have the books, but they don't actually read them. Sometimes the CD, they have the CD, but they never listen to it. That's marketing perspective already. Statistics, 80%, they don't listen. That's fine, we know that. That's how flyers work. That's why companies spend, a lot of money to print out thousands and thousands of flyers. Not because they think that every single flyer will be used. Because they already know ahead of time, 80 to 90% are not even going to be looked at. That's already part of the investment. We know that. 80% out of the 4,000 CDs, garbage. Not going to be looked at. But that still leaves us 20%. That still leaves us 800. 800 people listen to, put play on the Musar series, put play on the Wall Street to Western Wall CD, 1 or 2. 800 people, surely you're going to get at least 20 to 50% start changing their life. Now let's be conservative, because who am I and who is this and who is that? One person. Forget 4,000. Forget 800. One person. One person does tshuva. One person out of 4,000 CDs. One person does tshuva. One out of 4,000 CDs. One person does tshuva. Every single mitzvah that person does from here until the end of his life. Every mitzvah his or her spouse does. From here until the end of their life. Every single mitzvah their children do. And their grandchildren do. And their great-grandchildren do. And the great-great-grandchildren do until Mashiach comes. If you're a lucky person, you have a student like Rabbi Yashiv that had over 10 kids, Yishtabach Shimon La'ad, every single mitzvah goes to your kid's account. Each one of these mitzvot is a piece of Olam Haba. One mitzvah is a piece of Olam Haba. One mitzvah is a piece of Olam Haba. One Baal Tshuva is 310 worlds in Olam Haba. He did Tshuva. His wife did Tshuva. The kids are Baal Tshuva. Their grandkids are Baal. Everybody's doing mitzvah. Now let's do the math here. You could give me kavod, thank you very much. I'm a very big Baal Gava anyway, so I need kavod every day. But the reality is, what's in it for you? What's in it for you? For you, nothing. Nothing. You could say, oh, Rabbi Reuven, cut my kid's hair. So, your kid's going to grow up, 20 years old, says, Ima, what'd you do for my chalakeh? You're going to be embarrassed to say, Rabbi Reuven cut my hair. Why? Says, the guy could have got you 40 million people to do tshuva. You understand? So this is why, Rabotai, sometimes we have to remind ourselves that when we give tzedakah, It's not just about how much you give. It's where you give and for what purpose. Where is the money going? What are you doing with it? What's the point of spending so much money on having some of these events or some of these things that people do, when you look at the actual results of what could potentially materialize out of it? You see, it's not even half as good as what I just explained. Okay, so you're gonna sponsor a challah event. Okay, so 70, 100 women are all gonna eat challah for 3 weeks now. At best case scenario, you get one mitzvah for each one. One mitzvah for each challah, assuming they do a separate bracha for each challah. You got yourself one mitzvah for each one. You got times 100 people. Okay, you got yourself, let's say 5 challahs, 2,500 mitzvot. That's not even a week in a religious Jew's life. So we have to take these things into account, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs his world like a business, because he wants you to run your world, your spiritual world, also like a business. Never look for a discount when it comes to spirituality. Never look for a shortcut. Never look for things that are easy, because if it's hard, that means it's a diamond. That means it's a diamond. But if it's easy for you to give to IDF, it's easy for you to give to the new donut party, it's easy for you to give to build a new gymnasium that's going to make people make more sins, it's easy for you to give to build another extension to the shul, doesn't teach Torah but has football parties. It's easy for you to give. You should check yourself. There's something seriously wrong. There's something seriously wrong with your neshama. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling you, I don't even want your tzedakah. Even your tzedakah I don't want. What does it say? Tzedakah tatzimi mavet. The only thing that can change you from saving your own life is tzedakah. Hashem says, I don't want you to save your life. I can't wait till you finish. Why? All you do is sin. I'm going to give you the opportunity to save your life? No. This is the type of accounting you have to do. Because every week I see these tzaddikim on Facebook, Baruch Hashem, the same 5-6 people. Each one donates whatever they can. They try to recommend everybody else to donate, and rarely does anybody ever listen. But they should know that what they're doing is chesed that's to the purest form. Not just what they're giving, but also that they're trying to encourage other people to give. Same thing goes for the few tzaddikim that took it upon themselves to publicize our campaigns, to try to get other people to donate. They took the campaign and they shared it with their friends, and they keep sharing it every day, or they start a campaign of themselves on behalf of Be'ezrat Hashem. Why? Each person donates $1, donates 1,000, donates 10,000, whatever it is. You now have yourself an investment of a lifetime. You have an investment of a lifetime, because right now somebody's going to do tshuva because of this money. And this is, I don't like to talk about money, but this is unfortunately something we have to do once in a while in order to remind ourselves why we're doing what we're doing. Another person that has been giving out a lot of Torah, a lot of our CDs, Baruch Hashem, over the last couple of months, I think we've given out somewhere in the neighborhood of a couple of 100 Kiruv packages. Now, anybody that knows that really the Kiruv packages, we sell them on the website, but nobody actually sells. It doesn't actually sell. Nobody actually buys them. Everything is giving out for free. Once in a blue moon, somebody sponsors one or two. But 99% of them all given out for free. Each one of them, even if we sell it for cost. I actually think it's below cost, believe it or not, because we keep adding more stuff to it. So you do the math. 200 Kiruv packages is already $20,000. It's a lot of money for a small organization. If I was a big organization with $1 billion a month, like some other organizations, no problem. But we're not. We give it. And say, oh, wait, maybe it's too much. Maybe we should stop. No, Chas v'shalom, why stop? I told them. No, we can't. But they said, yeah, but it's so expensive. I said, so what's the purpose of our life? If we're not going to use the money that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us to go help his children come back home, what's the purpose of life? What's the point? How are they going to come back home? How are they going to come back home? This is the type of outlook that you're supposed to have if you're trying to be a kosher Jew. Even though sometimes it's very, very hard to really mean it. Logically, you're saying, I have to give. But your heart says, yeah, but you only have $1,000 left in your account. Your heart says, yeah, but somebody else is going to give. Your heart says, yeah, I'll give next month. I'll give next month. And that's when you know that the Yetzer Hara, he's not only in your life, he lives in your house. Why? The Yetzer Hara doesn't come to us to tell us, don't do a mitzvah. He doesn't do that. He knows you want to do a mitzvah. He knows you want to give. Yetzer Hara knows you want to give. He knows you're trying to be a tzaddik. You came to Shiur, you watched 3 hours. Who watches 3 hours today of Shiur Torah? He knows you're a tzaddik. He knows you want to do good things. Thank you. He knows you want to do something good. So he's not going to tell you, no, don't give, Yaron, don't give. He doesn't going to tell you that. Why? He knows he's wasting his time. You know what he's going to tell you? Give. Yaron, give. You know what? What do you want to give? 500? Give 1,000. 500 not enough. Give 1,000. But do it tomorrow. Don't give it now. Now it's late. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Sleep on it. Get some rest. Tomorrow you're fresh. Tell your wife, honey, let's do it together. Let's go on the internet together. Donate $1,000 together. Make it a family thing. Do it tomorrow. Yaron, do it tomorrow. Like, you know what? Yetzer Hara, you're right. I am kind of tired. But since we're on the same page, I'm going to give even more tomorrow. Good night. Yetzer Hara. Thanks, man. Pound. You go to sleep. Guess what? Guess what happens? Tomorrow, you forgot. Tomorrow, the bills arrive. Tomorrow, you don't have as much fire in you to give. Tomorrow, you're not burning like you did after the shiur. Tomorrow, you don't feel like doing it as much. Like, you know what, I'll do it later. And guess what happens? 1,000 becomes 500. And you say, you know what, 500, that's a lot. I just got the phone bill. The phone bill alone's 300. Let me just give 200. 300 to the phone company, 200 to Kiruv. Yeah, but the other bill and the other bill, before you know it, maybe there's $5 coming out of your pocket, if it comes at all. Why? You delayed. Yetzer Hara won. That's why, Rabotai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a mitzvah to start our life with, to teach us a little bit of foundation about Bitachon, about Avodat Hashem, that has a connection with this entire series. What's the first mitzvah that he gives a brand new boy that comes into this life? Brit Milah. Now technically, Brit Milah doesn't really make any sense. Bemet, you think about it. What are you going to do? You're going to take a kid when he's most vulnerable. He can't even speak yet. He's 8 days old, for heaven's sake. Wait till he's 15, he can choose for himself, no? He's 8 days old, the poor kid. Not only that, you're going to take a piece of his skin in the most sensitive part of the body. Cut a finger. It's better, no? No, we take that part. Okay, you're going to take that, but if something happens, Hashem can't have kids. We're going to do that. Okay, so at least put him to sleep. At least put the kid to sleep. I mean, some people go to the dentist. They say, dentist, I don't want to feel anything. Make sure my whole head, legs, arms, feet, my eyes, I want them to sleep. They call it sleep dentistry. I actually did it one time in my life. I went to sleep. They did a bunch of work on my mouth. I was sleeping the whole time. Didn't work out because I still have to go to the dentist to this day. But anyway, I don't want to feel any pain. But the baby, no anesthesia. He's not sleeping. He's not nothing. What are you doing? You're giving a surgery to an 8-day-old kid without any anesthesia in the most sensitive part of the body, and you don't feel even bad about it. What do? You celebrate it. Buchim habayim. Why don't you come to my house? Let's have some music. Why don't you make some buekas, honey? Why don't you have some this? You start feeding and feasting. Ishtabach shimo la'ad. You're spending thousands of dollars as a cameraman to take pictures of it. What? How does this make any sense? Now, even a secular person, most secular people today, even if some of them are atheists, they still get a Brit Milah. They still give a Brit Milah to their kids. Even if they're lefty liberals, most of them still do Brit Milah for their kids. Even if they believe in gay marriage, they still do Brit Milah for their kids. Why? Because they understand that this is part of tradition. Why? Go ask them. Why did you do it? No, it's part of our tradition. Yeah, but you don't follow the tradition. You don't follow the Torah. Listen, my father did it. My father did it, so I did it. Why? Why did your father do it? Because his father did it. Why? Why did his father do it? Because his father did it. Why did his father do it? Eventually you're going to arrive where? At Mount Sinai. Eventually you're going to arrive at Mount Sinai, Matan Torah. You're going to arrive at the Torah and you're going to say, wait a minute. Why did they do it in the Torah? Why? Why did they pick this mitzvah? First and foremost, rule of Bitachon, don't try to make sense of everything. Understand the foundation of all Bitachon, it's not supposed to make sense. It's not supposed to make sense. Don't try to rationalize how Hashem is going to send you the blessing. Oh yeah, Hashem, I need Parnassah, so he's probably going to send me the client from Toronto this month. Because I've been waiting 6 months, he's probably going to send that client. Oh, I need this, I need Zivug, so it's probably going to be her because we already know each other for 20 years. Oh, I need this, and you don't rationalize anything. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, if it's rational, it's not me. It's not me. You want to connect to me? Stop trying to rationalize everything. And even the things that you rationalize, it's not going to help you anyway. Brit Milah, Rabotai Yekarim, is one of the ways that a person can learn a little bit about Bitachon. Because you have Bitachon, you have confidence that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that's running the world. And this leads us to the next section of the Bet Levi that says the following. He says, Hashem alone provides for us. On page 7, for whoever has the book. If you don't have the book, get it from Michal in the back. She has a few copies. Please stop playing with your phones. Trust me, I want to be home also. If you don't want to be here, we'll go home, you go home, and we'll finish the whole shiur. But if you want to be here, then at least have enough decency to watch the shiur. Ovadia was looking very especially delicious today to play with him. But I had to leave him crying and come here to learn Shiur Torah with you guys. If you want, next time I'll stay with Ovadia and you guys can teach yourself. Hashem alone provides for us. He doesn't need our work to be able to provide for us. We see this by some tzaddikim. The Bet Levi says first and foremost, it's very simple. Last week we talked about how much you should work, how much you should spend working. We have to do ishtadlut. We have to have some type of effort. Effort is a mitzvah. That's the obligation you have, the effort. Success is none of your business. Success is none of your business. Effort is your business. We have the obligation of effort. We have an obligation to get up every morning and fight like a lion. That's the obligation you have. You wake up in the morning, go serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You wake up in the morning, you go work to make a living. Wake up in the morning, go learn like a monster. Go learn and seriously look and dig for a new chidush. 9 hours you're looking for one chidush. You didn't find it, you try again the next day. Try again the next day. Success is none of your business. Effort is. If a person looks at things that way, he'll never get discouraged in his life. The reason why people get discouraged in life, whether it's business or spirituality, is because they think that they're supposed to have success because they've exerted effort. What the Bet Levi is trying to remind us here is that success is none of your business. Success is simply what HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides. But it's also a very, very dangerous issue. Why? This is the line that would separate a righteous Jew from a kufer gamur, from a heretic. If you say, I believe in Hashem, I follow the Torah, I keep Shabbat, my wife puts on clothes, she looks modest, she covers her hair, ishtabach shimo, everything is, I even learn Torah once a day, twice a day. Good for you. You're on a good path. What about how you make a living? Well, I wheel and deal, I do this, I do that. Okay, that's great. So, Chazaku Baruch goes, well, really, the real secret is, I know how to buy. I know how to buy goods at a specific time of the year, and that's the reason why I'm ahead of the game. In reality, what I do is I wait for such and such to go out of business, and I buy stuff because I know what to buy. I know who to buy from. You, my friend, took all the Torah that you learn, all the mitzvot that you do, all this emunah that you think you have, you put it all in a garbage pail. Sanitation department from a Satan came and picked it up, put it in a Sitra Achra's account, finished. Everything is garbage. Why? You became a kofel. Why are you kofel? You think you're the one that made the money. You think that it's because you know how to buy, and you know how to sell, and you know which stock to buy, and you know which stock to sell, and where to get customers, and the marketing ideas. You think that it's actually the effort that's causing the success. That, my friend, makes you a kofel. This is a very serious problem that we have. Why? Because most people have this problem. Most people, and I'm talking about religious Jews, most people believe that they are not only in charge of the effort, they're in charge of the success too. That's why the Beit Levi says, Hashem alone provides for us. Meaning, yes, you're supposed to work hard. You're supposed to get up in the morning. You're supposed to do really good work. But never for a second think that it's you that's actually making the money. You became rich not because you knew where to buy or how to buy or where to sell, who to sell. None of that matters. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided one day, you know what, Yaron, I want to be rich again. The fact that you made the money off of selling Q-tips to hotel chains is irrelevant. You could have sold iPods. You could have sold old games. You could have sold shoes. You could have sold stocks. It's irrelevant what you did. There are plenty of people in the real estate business that have made millions. But there's even more in the real estate business that are looking for tzedakah. They're looking for you. Do me a favor. Do me a favor. Lend me a couple $1,000 to make it this month. Next month I want to sell property. I'll give it back to you. You know how many of those guys? They're in the same real estate business. He works hard. He works hard. He's in the business 10 years. He's in the business 10 years. His father's this. His father's that. And so on and so forth. They both have the same resume. He is filthy rich. He is broke. You know how many brokers I know in the brokerage business that couldn't make it to the month? Same business. In the business longer than me. Some of them even knew more than me. Couldn't make it to the month. Yaron, do me a favor. Can you lend me a few thousand? Why, you didn't make any money this month? No, nothing. The whole month? You worked for a whole month? Like the whole month you worked? Nothing? Yeah, I made $500. How'd you do? I made 500,000. Now there's no way there's that much of a difference between me and you. Now, as egotistical as I can be, I know reality. It's impossible for one human being to be that different from another person. It's impossible. Impossible. It's impossible for me to be that many times better than you. Impossible. You worked 30 days, I worked 30 days. You made 500, I made 500,000. Impossible. Something's wrong here. What's wrong? Wrong is the fact that we thought it's the effort. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided 500 here, 500,000 here. So the Beit Levi says, Hashem alone provides for us. He doesn't need our work to be able to provide for us. We see this by some tzaddikim. Why do we work? As we talked about last month or last week, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has us work simply to stay out of trouble. If we did not work, if we did not occupy ourselves, we will be making sins involuntarily, non-stop. It would get to a point where sin is a reflex. You have nothing to do, nothing to do, nothing to do. What do you do? Turn on TV. Sin number one. Nothing to do, nothing to do, nothing to do. Change the channels. Oh, look, she's half naked. Let's watch this. Sin number 2, sin number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hashem Yechem. By the time you finish the day, you have 3, 4, 500 million sins. Why? You did nothing all day. Except making sins. You have to go work. You have to do something with your time. A lot of people tell me, yeah, but I don't want to work. I want to study Torah. Okay, so study Torah all day. Go, be an avrech. Go study 12 hours in the kollel. Come back, eat a little bit, and study for the next few hours until you fall asleep. That's what an avrech does. You want to study all day? Chazak u'baruch, go do it. Rabotai, 99% of people don't make it a week in the kollel. Why? It's not easy. It's much more difficult to study all day than it is to work building buildings. Much more difficult. What do you think? Because you're sitting in front of a book, it's easy? Go study for 12 hours. You know what? How about this? Let's do a test. Let's do a test. Open a nice Gemara. Open a Shulchan Aruch. I want to see you study for one session of 8 hours. Not even 12. One session, 8 hours straight. No breaks. Obviously, bathroom. Go to the bathroom. But no breaks. 8 hours straight. No phone calls. No mommy. No Bobby. No nothing. 8 hours straight. No, go. Do you know how hard it is? How about this? Without studying. Don't study. 8 hours without your cell phone. 8 hours. No studying. Just 8 hours of your life without a cell phone. Already, hey, Rabbi, come on, don't be machmir already. What are you? Just give us the shiur about Gehinom and that's it already. I can't take it. 8 hours, no cell phone. People tell me, I'm having a hard time keeping Shabbat. I say, why, you drive on Shabbat? No, I don't drive on Shabbat. I say, we work on Shabbat? No, I don't work on Shabbat. What's the matter? Why can't you keep Shabbat? He goes, I have to play with my phone. I have to play with my phone. So you're going to go to Gehinom for playing your phone? You're going to go to Gehinom for eternity because you wanted to go see what Steve, the atheist, was doing on Facebook? That's why you're going to Gehinom? Like, you think about this for a second? You're actually deciding yourself to put yourself into fire forever because you wanted to check Facebook. Because you wanted to go on Twitter and to see what Farrakhan says about Jews. Imach Shimo v'zichro. You wanted to go see what CNN, what new anti-Semitic report they have. That's what you want to go to Gehinom for? Do you understand what kind of a laughing stock you're going to be in Shemaim? You understand what kind of laughing stock you're going to be? It's like, yeah, this guy is going to Gehinom only for a week because he was great, but there's like a week of sins we have to clean up. But he was tzaddik, Gan Eden forever. This one, Gan Eden, Gan Eden, Gan Eden, Gan Eden, Gan Eden. Oh, a little bit of Gehinom, but okay, it's good, it's good. This guy, everyone's looking at each other. We don't even know what to do with this guy. I mean, do we have to actually tell everybody what he did? Yeah, we have to. It's a bedin. Okay, well, he's going to Gehinom. Why? Why is he going to Gehinom? He's Mechal Shabbat. No, but he didn't work on Shabbat. Oh, he didn't work on Shabbat. No, he didn't work on Shabbat. But he didn't drive on Shabbat. No, he didn't drive on Shabbat. So why is he going to Gehinom? Because he liked to play with his phone on Shabbat. He wanted to go to Facebook. He wanted to see what CNN reported. He wanted to see what IDF is doing. He wanted to go play one of those worm games on his phone on Shabbat because he couldn't handle it. And he had to play a worm game on Shabbat, so we have to put him in Gehinom. For how long, Hashem? Forever. Do you know what kind of a laughing stock you're going to be? Imagine such a sentence that you have to do this. You have to get, Hashem actually has to punish his own son or daughter because you went on your phone on Shabbat. I mean, do you really hate yourself that much? Do you hate Hashem that much that you're going to force him to do such a thing? What happens? We get so addicted to our sins, we forget their sins, Rabotai. So that's what the Bet Levi has to remind us. Always know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that's running the show. Always remind yourself that you are in charge of the effort and not the success. Your effort is known in Shemayim. If you really try to keep Shabbat, you will succeed. If you really try to find a zivug, you will succeed. If you try to become a Talmid Chacham, you will succeed. Not necessarily that you will definitely be a successful Talmid Chacham. Not necessarily that you'll become a multimillionaire. Not even necessarily that you'll find a zivug of your dreams. No. You will be considered a success in heaven. Why? You did your job. You tried. Once you try, there's a check mark next to your name. The check mark next to your name. He tried his best. Hashem says, success. Outcome is none of his business. Outcome is none of her business. I decided it succeeded. Whether you try having kids or not, that's up to you. Whether there's going to be kids, that's Hashem. That's also, by the way, the answer as a side note for the people that asked the question 5,000 times, which I've written already, about why, if we're not allowed to waste seed, why are people that already have passed their years and their ability to have children, or even if they're young but they don't have the ability to have children, why are they still allowed to have children? Let's say, for example, some women have cancer in their ovaries. They have to remove their ovaries. She could be 25, she could be 45. It happens. But it happens. Or they have to remove the uterus. Or a man, his seed doesn't work, unfortunately, because Hashem decided it's not going to work. So why are they still allowed, and it's a mitzvah, for them to continue trying, having kids, continue trying, being with their husband, being with their wife. Why? Because the mitzvah is to try, not to succeed. Success is Hashem. Avraham and Sarah never stopped trying, even though they knew Sarah could not actually have kids. There's no uterus. There's a piece of the body missing. Meaning it's physically impossible for any of the imaot. All the imaot, did not have a uterus. Nothing. Meaning it's physically impossible. It's not like it's unlikely. It's impossible. Like Rav Pinto, Shichye, Rav Yeshayahu Pinto, for years he didn't have kids. He went to a doctor. Years ago, I remember when he used to go to Shurim. He told the story. He says, I went to a doctor, and the doctor told me, you will never have kids. It's not a statistical, it's just, you're not going to have kids. It's impossible for you to have kids. I'm a doctor. I've been doing this for 20, 30 years. I checked your health. It's not possible for you to have kids. Rav Pito says to him, I'm going to have kids. Will you come to the Brit Milah? He says, if you have kids, if you have a kid, I'm doing full tshuva, I'll change my whole life. A year later, Brit Milah. A year later, Rabotai, doctor after doctor after doctor said no kids. It's impossible for you to have kids. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I want you to have kids, but I want somebody to do tshuva at the same time. So we're going to wait for somebody to be a superhero. Dr. Goodman decided to be the winner. He did full tshuva, Baruch Hashem, Baal tshuva, learns Torah, everything. Why? He says, after I saw him have kids, I knew there has to be Hashem. There has to be a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Why? It was a physical impossibility. It's not a miracle it was not possible. There's a body part missing. There's something missing for that to have a child. And then another one. How? Has to be a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Rabotai Yekarim, when a person understands, I am responsible for effort and not outcome, your whole life changes. Why? Because then you're never going to be upset if something didn't work out. You're never going to be upset if a shidduch didn't work out. You're never going to be upset if your company fails. You're never going to be upset if the bank account didn't have as much money as you need. Why? You simply understand that's HaShem's business. Did you try hard enough? If the answer is no, then you have a reason to be upset. At who? At yourself. You didn't try hard enough. You failed, not Hashem. Hashem succeeded. So the Bet Levi continues and he says, after a person did what is his responsibility by working at some occupation, he should trust in Hashem that he will provide him with his needs. As it says in Tehillim 37, verse number 5, cast on Hashem your ways and trust in him, and he will provide for you. Simply trust Hashem. That's what David HaMelech is telling you. This is as simple as it gets. It's much more difficult to do. Why? Because we have a lot of junk interfering. We have friends, we have family, we have all types of people that are like employees of the Yetzer Hara telling us, no, you can't do it. You can't do what? You're donating $1,000 a month for Kiruv? What are you, insane? Something wrong with you? You make $2,000. You make $3,000. You're going to donate 30% of your money. How are you going to pay your bills? How? What, is Hashem going to send you extra money? Are you crazy? Are you sick? Come on, this rabbi is this. This rabbi is that. They're going to tell you all types of stuff like this. Why? Because they have a problem. What's the problem? You're doing something they can't. So you are reminding them of their own failure. Or they're going to tell you, listen, what are you learning 2-3 hours a day? When do you have time to make a living? When do you have time to play with your kids? When do you have time to hang out with your wife? Your wife's going to leave you. Your kids are going to leave you. The neighbors are going to leave you. The landlord is even going to leave you. Everybody's going to leave you. Why? You're learning all day. You're learning all night. Well, it's time for people. Come on, modernize yourself. Watch a shiur for an hour, you finish. I'll send you the chidush. I'll give you a chidush. Why? He said the shiur in 3 hours. I'll give you the whole summary in 5 minutes. Go work. Go make money. You need a bigger house. Look, you're a growing family. You need a bigger house. You need a bigger car. You need a bigger this and a bigger that. Yetzirah has a lot of employees. Why? He needs them. He needs them to go do his work. David HaMelech says, if you are simple in your avodat Hashem, where you simply understand, I have one responsibility. My responsibility is to serve Hashem. That's it. My responsibility is to do my job. He said study, I'm studying. He said give, I give. He said do something, do chesed, I'm going to do chesed. He said pay attention, I pay attention. He said watch your eyes, I watch. Whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, it's in my power to do it, I'm doing it. If he said it, of course it's in my power to do it. A loving father is not going to tell you to go lift the car off the top of your head if he knows that you can't do it. Everybody knows that. If he tells you to go lift the car on top of your head, either it's because you can do it or because he hates you. Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves you. If he hated you, trust me, you wouldn't be here. So, David HaMelech says, is a simple solution to all your problems. Do what you're supposed to and believe that Hashem is going to give you success. That's it. What's success? Success is what you want? No. Success is that you're going to at least feel fulfilled that you've done your job. Success is not necessarily that you're going to attain what you hope to attain. Success is that you are going to feel fulfilled that you've done something. You've done your best. You left everything on the field. This was one of the things that I remember as a kid. I was an athlete. And one of the things that the coach used to tell us all the time, leave everything on the field. Meaning, all week you practice. All week you run nonstop and you lift weights and you do this and you do that and you sweat in the heat. But in that case, it was outside. Here it's inside, Baruch Hashem. You do all these different things to put it, so game day arrives on Sunday, you win. But the reality, everybody knows, is at least a 50% chance you're not going to win. But what does a good coach tell his students? He says, listen, put it all on the field. Meaning, try your best. That's all you can ask from a person. You can't ask for a person to do something above his best. You can't ask a person to do something supernatural. Do your best. If you do your best, everybody will be happy with you, especially you. But if you don't do your best, not only is everybody going to have something to say about you, worse yet, you are never going to forgive yourself. Because you know deep down inside, you could have tried better. You could have done more. You could have pushed yourself a little harder. Stand up for an extra 5 minutes. Give an extra smile when you give the guy some money. But the Satan tries to make sure that we worry about the big details and not the small ones. And that's how he catches us. You do the big mitzvah, but you forget about the little ones. So what? The homeless guy or the poor guy came to the Beit Knesset and you gave him a few dollars. But you didn't get a mitzvah. In fact, you could have gotten a sin for it. Why? This is how you gave it to him. Hey, go. That's how the people give. Guy comes to the Beit Knesset, collects the money. The poor guy is so embarrassed. already to collect, but what is he going to do? He has no skill set. He has no ability to make money. He comes to collect a few dollars from poor people, from other people. He's poor. And some people don't give him. Some people give him an embarrassment instead. But the worst of all is the guy that gives a look with the money. Hey, go. Don't give. It's better you don't give. It's better you don't give if that's the way you're going to look at him. Why? You're destroying the person. Why can't you smile at him? Why can't you say, B'ezrat Hashem, better times are ahead? Why can't you give him some hope that better times are ahead? Moshe Feinstein, alav shalom, people followed him all the time. For questions, for answers, for so on. In a very, very tight schedule, as is obvious. He was on a way to an appointment, and right before he arrived at the car, a poor person showed up to him and says, Kod Harav, and he gets the rabbi's attention, and he starts talking to him about his problems. And the driver, which is one of the students of Moshe Feinstein, is trying to hurry up the guy. I mean, the rabbi doesn't have 10 minutes to spend with just anybody. Go, no, shoo. He's trying to wait patiently. He doesn't want to say anything, but he sees that the rabbi is talking to this guy and listening to him. And he thought maybe the rabbi is not comfortable to tell this guy to shoo away. He said, okay, the rabbi has to go. The rabbi said, what? He's talking. Pachad Elokim, the driver just sat there, just waiting for the whole thing. 10 minutes. Nobody, even Talmidei Chachamim, sometimes wouldn't get 10 minutes from Rav Moshe Feinstein. 10 minutes, he sits down, he's talking to this guy outside. After 10 minutes, the Rav says to him, okay, I now have to go. I really appreciate your time. Rav Moshe Feinstein says to him, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. We'll see each other soon. The guy is so happy. Rav Moshe Feinstein said, thank you to me for my time. Meet his day. Now after, he goes in the car. His student feels bad for what he did, but at the same token, he wants to learn. A student wants to learn. Talmid Chacham wants to learn. That's what Talmid Chacham is. Talmid Chacham. Talmid Chacham means you want to be a Chacham, you have to be a Talmid first. You have to be a student first. She says, Rabbeinu, Lamdeni, teach me. There are some people that are really serious scholars. You can't spend 10 minutes with them. But this guy that's homeless, you spend 10 minutes with him. He says, my obligation of chesed for him wasn't to give him the $1 that I gave him, or $2 that I gave him. My obligation was to give him my time. Why? Because that's what he needed. He needed to feel valuable. The $2 are not what he was looking for. He wanted to feel valuable. Now him and his Ruach HaKodesh that he had, he knew who, what, when, and how. But the point is, Rabotai, is from there we learn how important it is to give somebody a smile when you give him. Don't make them feel bad for asking. Don't wait for them to ask. Have the initiative. Make the initiative. Don't ask, do you need anything? Don't ask people, do you need anything? If you want to do something, do it. Why? It's very embarrassing for somebody to say, yeah, I need something. In fact, they rather say no, I don't need anything, than to say, yes, I need something. Why? It's already embarrassing that I need it. You now want me to admit it too? It's not enough that I'm already in need? You want me to admit it when you want to beg like a dog? But that's the problem. People have so much ga'ava sometimes, they're only going to give if you ask. Oh, he didn't ask, so he must not need. If he needs, he knows where to get it. If he needs, just call me. Whenever you need something, call me, Rabbi. Whenever you need something, I'm right here. Guess what? You're never going to get the call. And if you got the call, it's not from a rabbi. It's a businessman. Why? It's embarrassing. People wait for people to say, I need. It's horrible. It's a horrible midah. The leaders of Israel, in the Torah, it talks about how they were punished. They were punished. Some of them were punished because they waited to see how much everybody else gives. When it was the Trumah, when everybody was gathering the money to build the Bet HaMikdash of the desert, the Mishkan, They waited until the end. They say, oh, listen, whatever's missing, we'll fill. Hashem says, whatever's missing, we'll fill. We think I need you. Whatever's missing, we'll fill. I don't need you at all. They were rebuked. Why? You're supposed to give because your heart wants to give, not because they need. This, Rabotai, is a very, very important thing to remember constantly. Also in our day-to-day life. Arav Yagen Alav Shalom says, Isha Ra'ah, a wicked wife. What's a wicked wife? What's a bad wife? A bad wife is a wife that makes tea only after you ask. She makes you dinner only after you ask. Honey, I'm hungry. Okay, I'll make you something to eat. He says, a bad wife. Terrible wife. Maybe you don't have Gehinom because of this wife. That's what Gemara says. Gemara says you have a bad wife, you have no Gehinom. Why? Because you live in Gehinom every day. A bad wife is a wife you have to ask her to make you tea. You have to ask her to make you dinner. That's a bad wife. A bad husband, you know what a bad husband is? A bad husband waits for Mother's Day, waits for a birthday, waits for anniversary to buy his wife a present. That's a bad husband. That's a husband you can put in the garbage pail. What? I have to have my anniversary in order to get a present for my husband that I give my whole life to? You have to wait the whole year to get a present because it happens to be the day I was born? That's what you're going to give me a present. You're not going to give me a present because you love me. You're not going to give me a present because you adore me. You're not going to give me a present because you respect me. You're not going to give me a present because of gratitude that I'm raising your kids. You're not going to give me a present because I tolerate you. No. But because I was born on this day, that's what you're going to give me a present for? Take the husband, put him in the garbage pail. That's a bad husband. You probably don't have Gehinom with a husband like that. A husband that waits for anniversaries, for birthdays, in order to buy his wife presents, in order to buy his wife flowers, that's a garbage husband. A good husband, a good wife, does what they're supposed to do, gives because they want to give, whenever they want to give, whenever they have an opportunity to give. She makes tea because she thinks, why wouldn't he want tea? She makes dinner because she realized he must be hungry. If I were him, I would be hungry. He worked really hard today. He must be hungry. He's still human after all. He didn't become Eliyahu Navi yet. He has to eat. He has to have tea. He has to do. I have to do something. Why? Because he must need it. He must want it. Maybe he's too shy to ask, even though we're married for 20 years. Maybe he's too uncomfortable. Maybe he's too busy. Maybe he forgot he didn't eat. Whatever the case is, I need to remind him I need to do something. I need to do it. I don't have to ask him, do you want to eat? I don't have to ask him, do you want to eat? I'm just going to make it. I'm going to put it in front of him. If he eats, good. If not, at least he knows it's available to him. A good husband buys his wife something every time he thinks about her, every time he has an opportunity. He went to a store, he wanted to buy himself a little Snickers bar or something with Chalav Israel, but he says, oh, you know what, there's a nice little flower over here. My wife's going to like this flower. It's $1.50 the flower. It's $1.50 for the Snickers bar. You know what, I only have $1.50 on me. The flower is much more valuable than the Snickers bar. I'll buy her the flower, and then next time I'll buy the other Snickers bar. Why? I can live without the Snickers bar, but I can't live without my wife. A good husband is going to constantly think, how can I make my wife happy? She has to tolerate me. That's already enough. For her to go to Gan Eden, just to tolerate me. She has to tolerate the kids. They don't want to go to sleep. They want to go to sleep. They don't want to sleep and not sleep at the same time. They want to play. They want to jump. They're climbing off the ceiling. They're hitting each other. They're doing all types of things. She takes care of them all day. She carried them on top of it for 9 months. She has to feed them. She has to bathe them. She has to clean them. She does all of this. That already deserves a present every single day. But yeah, you have these husbands that say, what? It costs you $200 for a cleaning lady? Go get a job and pay for this cleaning lady. That's a husband you put in the garbage pail. You don't need a husband. Somebody like that, better off never get married. That's an evil husband. Unless you want to just go straight to Gan Eden, no Gehinom, then it's worth it to go with a husband like that. But Rabotai, what's the point? The point is, if we apply these things in our day-to-day life, we can become better people. Not just better Eved Hashem, a better servant of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but also better quality human being. If you're going to constantly wait for other people to ask you for stuff and never take the initiative, then you might as well be a vending machine. Press a button, Coca-Cola comes out. Press a button, money comes out. ATM machine. Press a button, something comes out. Might as well be a vending machine. Maybe Hashem should have created you as a vending machine instead. But if you're going to start thinking for yourself, what could I do to improve the world around me? How could I help the people around me? You work for a company, for example. Don't wait for your boss to give you something to do. If he's already giving you a salary, and you happen to have a job that perhaps doesn't have a full-time schedule, meaning that sometimes you have a job to do, sometimes you just sit there collecting dust. Don't be one of those losers that collects dust. Bring something good to the table. Why? The company's paying you for your time. They're not paying you to sit there. They're paying you for something. They're paying you to do work. Do something. Take the initiative. Anything else I can do? Anything else I can improve? Anything else I can do to bring more money to this company, more good to this company, more customers to this company? Yeah, but you're the clerk. Yeah, I'm a clerk, but I happen not to have anything to do right now as a clerk. Is there anything else I could do for now, for this next hour, until my next appointment, until the next thing happens? Be one of those people. Be a doer. That's how you can become a leader. That's how you can become somebody useful to society. But if you're one of those people that's only going to do once people ask you, you're never going to make it. Not in this world or the next. Because simply what you've turned yourself into is simply a vending machine. So the Bet Levi says, if you want to succeed in life, first rule, know that the onus is on you to do. Success is in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to do. Take the initiative. Do something. Learn something. Say something. Think of something. Do something for heaven's sake. You have 200, 300 pounds of flesh. Do something with it for heaven's sake. Instead of just sit there like lard. Do something. Do something. Even the cow once in a while gets up and eats something. Do something. Stop sitting at home and do nothing all day. Sleep half the day. Stop it. Do something. Read a book. Teach somebody. Go make something. Do something. You know how many people I know that tell me, oh yeah, I watch 9 of your shiurim a day. How can you possibly watch 9 shiurim a day? What do you do nothing else with your... There has to be something else. Either you're training to become a rabbi, or you're secretly Moshe Rabbeinu. Well, I mean, how could you watch so many shiurim? Like... Don't you have anything else to do? I mean, listen, kol hakavod, thank you very much for watching my shiurim, but you have to have something else to do. You must have some kids. You must have a wife. You must have a husband. You must even have a dog or something to walk. What, does he walk himself? Do something, please. People have become addicted to their own laziness, and then they blame Hashem for all their problems. They blame Hashem for not getting a promotion in their company. No, they're not promoting you because you're a loser. You do nothing all day. Just wait for the paycheck. For the paycheck, you're always early. But as soon as 5 o'clock's on, you're already out the door. I hate employees like that, by the way. I'm telling you as an owner of a company. We had, B'HaShem, lots of money, lots of this, lots of a lot of things. Anytime I felt like firing somebody, first on the line is the guy that's always leaves on time. Comes on time, I like him. Leaves on time, first guy to be fired. Why? I hate people like that. Why do I hate people that leave on time? Why does every company hate people that leave on time? Why? Because that means that the whole day you're looking at the clock. The whole day you can't wait to leave. Who wants somebody like that? I want somebody that wants to be here. I want somebody that's excited to be in this place. Not that's looking, oh, it's 5 o'clock, boss. I can go now. I go every day. 5 o'clock, I go. You know what, do me a favor. Go, don't come back. Go, I'll fulfill your way. I'll fulfill all your dreams. Go, no, you don't want to be here anyway. Go and don't come back. Please don't come back. Do most of us a favor. I'll give you $5,000. Just don't come back. You don't want to be here? Don't be here. It's the worst type of employees. A person always leaves on time. I remember one time I was going through a lot of struggles. Somebody suggested I should go to a psychiatrist. So I said, okay, I tried every doctor under the sun, so at least let me fulfill my obligation, go to a psychiatrist. I saw this in the movies, in shows all the time. They had these shows, you sit on the bed, you tell the guy your life story. It sounded like fun. I said, okay, I'll go to a psychiatrist. So I went to a psychiatrist, I made an appointment, somebody made an appointment for me. I went to the doctor, or whatever he is, and I see there's a chair over there, and I just sit down and lay down. I sat there. So he starts, I was like, all right, so what's on your mind? I said, nothing. Well, why are you here? So no, I figured I have some this and that. And so eventually I start talking. I figured, okay, so I guess I have to talk. So I start talking, I have this, I have a lawsuit, I have a problem, I have pain, all types of things that's going on. And I see, as I'm talking, I see the guy keeps looking at the clock. The guy's looking at the clock. And as soon as I start seeing him looking at the clock, I'm like, he doesn't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Why are we here? And I'm thinking, I'm just like, all right, so automatically 90% of what I wanted to say, that's not coming out. So I'm just trying to at least make my wife happy. She says she sent me here, so I'm going to make her happy. Say maybe this guy's going to help you, maybe. So I said, okay, let me just fulfill this 45 minutes that I'm here. I'm telling you, 45 minutes on the dot. 44 minutes, I think it was. Like, oh, time's up, so we'll see you next week. I said, no. You're not going to see me next week. But thanks. You don't want to be here. I don't want to be here either. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us the same thing. You're going to come to my shul. The whole time you're looking forward for the prayer to finish. The whole time you're waiting for the shiur to finish. Oh, when's it going to finish already? What? It's 2 hours already. It's 2 hours already. When's it going to finish the shiur? Wow, this rabbi is really going long. Now he wants to do Chazat HaShatz. Amidah again. Ah, man. Why did I go to the shul? You know what? Next week I'm going to the one of the other places. He goes fast. He goes fast. He goes faster. He goes faster. He prays faster. I'm going to go to the Speedy Gonzalez Shul Incorporated. Guess what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what? You want to go fast? Don't come at all. You want to pray fast? Don't pray. You want the shiur to finish fast? Don't come. Now you still press on coming? Guess what? You're going to fall asleep within 2 seconds. Guess what? You're going to sit at the shiur for 2 hours, not understand one word. Guess what? You're going to listen to the whole shiur, forget everything tomorrow. Tomorrow you're still the same behemah you were the day before. Nothing changes. HaShem says, oh, you prayed really fast. Was it good for you? Good. At least you enjoyed it. Great. Okay, wait. None of your prayers are being welcomed here. Why? You want to go fast. So I rejected it fast. The Bet Levi says that if you're already going to understand that your job is to do, then take your job seriously. Do seriously. You're going to already do it. And you understand that you're not in charge of success. So at least, since you know now, you have no responsibility when it comes to success. Success is in the hands of HaShem. So now your only job became onefold. You thought it was twofold. You thought you were supposed to do and succeed. We already now discovered success is not in your hands. Your success is achieving the doing properly. If you do your avodat Hashem properly, you are a success. If you give tzedakah properly, you are a success, no matter how much you gave. If you pray properly, you are a success, no matter which prayer it is, whether it's Shachrit, Mincha, Arvit, if it's a Yom Kippur or anything. If you pray properly, success. You try to have kids, success. You try to have Shlom Bayit, success. But if you just waltz in and expect everything to work automatically, just because you've appeared, then you've already failed at the only job that you have. Therefore, we find instances of great tzaddikim who were in a situation in which it was not possible for them to work and provide for themselves, and to miraculous ways Hashem provided for them. When Eliyahu Navi was in hiding from the wicked King Achav, the ravens brought him food continuously. When Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son Eliezer were hiding in a cave, a carob tree miraculously grew at the entrance to supply them with food. Now, there's a very interesting chidush we could learn from the story of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, page 33b, says the whole story of what happened with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that I want to delve into a piece of it with you. For anyone who hasn't heard this story, I'll summarize it because it's a relatively detailed story that we could learn, just the story by itself, probably 5 shiurim. I was looking at it again today. I saw there's so much you could learn from the story. You can make a whole series just about this one story. It says that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yossi, 3 Tanaim, 3 Gdolei Ador, 3 students of Rabbi Akiva, were there and having a conversation. And next to them, overhearing, was Yehuda ben Girim. Yehuda ben Girim was a convert. That's why he's called Yehuda ben Girim. Yehuda, son of converts, was sitting next to them, overhearing the conversation. And Rabbi Yehuda says, overseeing the beauty of the place, he says, look how beautiful the buildings are, the bathhouses are, the markets is. These Romans, they really did a good job. Even though they're ruling over Israel, still, they built some nice stuff that we could benefit from. Rabbi Yossi didn't say anything. Even though he saw it, wasn't exactly, that's not a normal comment, but okay, quiet. Rabbi Shimon was fire. He said, wait, you're looking at it the wrong way. You're thinking they did this to benefit you. No. They built the market so they can make money off of you. They build the market for themselves. They build the bathhouses so they can have all their prostitutes there. And all the prostitution over there, all the harlots, all the garbage over there. They build all these different things in order to collect taxes, in order to make money, in order to benefit from it, doing lustrous things. Everything they did for their own desires. Nothing is for you. Now, Yehuda ben Girim, the convert, was impressed by this conversation, and he went and told his family about it. As you would know it, if you ever want a secret to stay secret, don't tell anybody. As soon as you tell one person, you officially have ruined the secret. Why? Because it's only a matter of time. Before that, somebody will tell somebody else. And that somebody else will tell somebody else. And that somebody else will tell exactly the person you don't want to know. That's why one time Rabbi Meir Balanes had a big message to publicize right before Yom Kippur. How could you publicize this whole message to everybody? He says, oh, my wife has 2 friends. Invite her over. He tells his wife, invite over your 2 friends. Invite them over. You want my friends to come over? Yeah, invite them over. And he knew these 2 friends were nasnatzot, we call it in Hebrew. Nasnasa meaning they're like, they like to yentas, like they like to talk a lot. Yentas is another word you probably don't understand. So they like to talk, they like chit-chat, telling everybody everything, everybody's business. So he was a man with a plan. He invited these 2 women over, and he comes over to them as if he has a secret. He says to them, listen, it's a really big issue. I can't tell anybody, but because you're dear friends of my wife, I'm going to tell you, but you have to promise me, don't tell anybody. Oh, of course, Rabbeinu, we're not going to tell anybody. We're going to tell somebody. Oh, of course. If you're going to trust us already to keep a secret, you know us. Of course we can't. We'll keep a secret. He tells them, he says, it says in the Gemara, within an hour, the entire city knew. That was his plan, obviously. But the point is that this is how people are. You want a secret? Keep it to yourself. Don't tell anybody. So they're having a conversation thinking that this Yehuda ben Girim, this convert, actually has a brain. He's not going to go spread their information, but unfortunately they found a guy that doesn't have a brain. He said it to one person, another person, eventually he gets to the Caesar. Caesar finds out about this and he says, okay, Rabbi Yehuda that admired and complimented the Roman Empire, from now on there's a law. Anywhere he goes, anywhere he's in, any shul he's in, any building he's in, as a law, he has to be the first speaker. Rabbi Yossi, that didn't defend the Roman Empire, exile, get out of the land. We're not going to kill you, but exile. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, bounty on his head. First one to kill him gets the money. So the story goes is that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai fled with his son, and I'm skipping some details just to save time, and he gets to the cave, and in the cave, they're there for 13 years. 12 years they're there, and then they come out, but they've reached such a high level of holiness that when they come out, they start seeing people that are relatively religious, but are still spending time dealing with this world. So the Kedusha of Rabbi Shimon said, wait, this guy is dealing, even working, like he's not learning all the time, he's even wasting time working. The Kedusha of Rabbi Shimon created a fire. Started burning the guy. A Shabbat call came from Shamayim, says, what'd you come here to destroy my world? Go back in the cave, you and your son. So now, throughout this 13 years, Rabbi Shimon and his son are eating carobs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they only have one outfit. Now, since they want to honor Yom Tov and Shabbat, they cannot wear this outfit. Why? Because in a matter of time, it'll start creating holes, and it doesn't look like a nice outfit anymore. It doesn't look like a nice suit. So what do? The whole week, they dug themselves a hole in the ground. They take off all their clothes, they jump into the hole, they cover themselves, and the whole day, they're learning Torah in the hole. Because you can't learn Torah if you're naked. So they cover themselves with the sand, and they're learning Torah. And the clothes, they only put it on once a week, in honor of Shabbat. So, after you're in sand is, by the way, how you make glass, which is fascinating, by the way. If anybody ever seen it, it's really, really beautiful. How Kadosh Baruch Hu turns sand into glass. It's unbelievable. Goes into another story. It's nice to see things, how they're made. It's really, really fascinating. How Kadosh Baruch Hu really, everything he did with the Chokhmah. It's unbelievable. Now, and he gave man the chokhmah to understand that this sand that's on the beach could turn into glass, something that's clear. I mean, it's unbelievable that somebody would even think of this. But glass has already been around for many, many centuries. So, anyway, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son are in a sand pile every single day. And if you have sand on you constantly, eventually, it doesn't feel so good. So after 13 years, when they finally leave, they come back home, and it says, Shama Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair Chatena. Eventually, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, some say he was the father-in-law, some say he's the son-in-law. I understand that it's the father-in-law of Rabbi Shimon, meaning heard that Rabbi Shimon came out from hiding. The reason, by the way, why it's on one end it seems like it's that or the other, son-in-law, father-in-law, is because technically Rabbi Chanina was actually the father-in-law on one end, because that was the husband of Bruya. Oh no, Bruya was Rabbi Meir's wife. Anyway, let's continue. So, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair heard that Rabbi Shimon is out. And he went out to greet him, and he escorted him to the bathhouse, And after Rabbi Shimon took off his clothes, he was massaging him to make him feel better, and he saw that his whole body was full of, not scars, full of mamash lines and lines, like indentations into, like, almost like as if there's like literal, like he was whipped. His whole body has these huge marks, holes in his body, made from the sand. And he saw that his body is so damaged that he made him cry. And his tears fell into the wound. And since your tears have a little salt in them, Rabbi Shimon, it already hurts enough, the tears on. So Gemara says, Rabbi Pinchas at that moment says, Oy li, woe unto me that I see you like this. Woe unto me that I see the Gedol Ador, the biggest rabbi in the world, like this. And Rabbi Shimon says to him, woe unto you if you didn't see me like this. You're praiseworthy that you see me like this. So now let's see both of their arguments. On one end, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair is right. He's right. He says, woe unto me that I see you like this. Why is he right? Because he knows that any time you see anybody else suffering, any time you hear about an earthquake in somewhere in the world, in India, you heard there's an earthquake, 5,000 people died, or you hear that there was a war in some country, or you hear that there's some type of damage somewhere, or somebody, the closer it is to you, the more it's connected to you. If somebody you know died, somebody you know is sick, somebody you know, something happened to them, guess what? Part of the message is to you. Yes, he's the one that got hurt. Yes, he's the one that lost. Yes, he's the one that such and such happened to. But you still know him. If you had enough merit, it wouldn't even happen to him. Why? Because everything in Shemaim is midah keneged midah. Is measure for measure. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if he deserves to get hurt, he deserves to get punished, I punish him, but only after I review everyone else that could potentially be hurt by it. If everyone else also deserves it, then he gets hurt. But if he knows 1,000 people, and one person is a tzaddik, and that person doesn't deserve it. In fact, he deserves reward, he deserves good. And when he hears that his dear friend from high school, his dear friend from yeshiva, his dear friend from the 3 companies ago got hurt, he's going to feel bad about it? That's not midah keneged midah. That's not measure for measure. I'm not going to hurt him. I'm not going to punish him. Not because of him. He deserves it. But the guy that he hasn't talked to in 5 years, he doesn't deserve it. Meaning, if you had enough merit, you wouldn't see the bad stuff that you see. But if you see bad stuff, that actually means there's a problem with you too. So Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair says, woe unto me that I see you like this. Not just because it pains me to see you in pain, but it's also I know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is talking to me and telling me, oh, I deserve this. I deserve to see you in pain. What have I done? Woe unto me because I don't know what I've done. Because if I would have known, I would have done tshuva already. I would have fixed it. But then Rabbi Shimon says a different concept. He says, no, you're praiseworthy that you see it. You're praiseworthy that you see it. Why? Because you're only looking at it from the negative aspect. You're looking at it from the negative aspect. You see me in pain, you see me suffering, and you're thinking, oh, you deserve bad because you did bad and so on. No, no, no. What you're not seeing is that sometimes the only way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can show you the beauty of the diamond is after you cut it a few times. The only reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu made all of that happen is that I could go learn the Torah that I learned in the cave for 13 years. Praiseworthy are you that you see me like this, because now I possess a Torah that nobody else in the world has. And you're the first one to see it. Yes, you could look at it in a bad way, but there's also good too. So this is just one facet of the story that we can learn from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The Lag BaOmer is coming soon. We're very, very close to it. We're less than 2 weeks away. Lag BaOmer is also accepted as the Lula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll learn a little bit more about him from then until now, from now until then. But I want to give us something to take home. It's going to take a few minutes, but to put everything in perspective. For everybody that showed up a little late, for everybody that's here from the beginning, what can we take home from this entire thing? Rav Ephraim explains that in reality, the difference between the heretic and the righteous is 2 points. What are these points? If you have these two things on the top of your mind at all time, you could be righteous. If you don't, it's impossible for you to be righteous. You could do mitzvot, you could keep Shabbat, you could keep modesty, you could keep kashrut, you could keep a lot of things. You could do mitzvot. But as far as righteousness, not possible. What are these 2 points? First point, what's beyond this life? What happens after you die? If you have this on top of your mind at all times, you already have half the battle. If you don't, you've already lost. Second point is, what's the purpose of this life? What's after this life? And what's the purpose of this life? These are the 2 simple points. Now, why is this so important? If a person does not think about what's after this life, he doesn't think about Gan Eden Genom, he doesn't think about reward and punishment, then he's going to act accordingly. He'll steal when he feels like stealing. He'll cheat when he feels like cheating. Why? Because he doesn't believe that anyone is actually accounting for any of his actions. He'll simply act according to whatever he defines as good. If today good is being honest, he'll do that. If tomorrow dishonest works better, he'll be dishonest. If today he'll be loyal, that feels good to him, he'll be loyal today. If 3 months from now, after she gained a few pounds because she's pregnant, loyalty doesn't feel so good to him, he'll be not loyal anymore. If he feels like being nice to her is going to be good for him, he'll be nice to her. If he feels like, you know what, I'll be nice to her as long as she doesn't get on my nerves, then he'll won't be nice to her at that point. Meaning, his definition of good is not going to be determined by what happens as an outcome after this life, but rather what's happening now, what he decides is good now. A person like that cannot be honest, cannot be good over a long period of time. It's everything that he does is temporary. And since his good is constantly a variable, is constantly something that changes, it is impossible for such a person to be a decent human being, let alone righteous. Whereas a person that's constantly thinking about, wait a minute, there's Gan Eden, there's Gehenom. Okay, so if I steal, that's definitely not Gan Eden. That's not heaven. Okay, so why should I steal then? If I cheat, wait a minute. Cheating, I don't remember any righteous tzaddikim saying, if you want to go to heaven, go steal, cheat. Never heard of that. Not even the Reform say such a thing. Okay, so therefore I can't do it. He starts doing calculations, not based on what feels good, but rather what makes sense in the end. What will lead to a good outcome in the end. A person like that already has half the battle won. But why do you need the second part? Why do you need what's the purpose of life? Because what's the purpose of life, the day-to-day understanding of what's the purpose of life will help you overcome the struggle, the day-to-day struggle. When you have a big test and it's hard for you to rationalize what's going to be in the end. It's hard for you to relate to Olam Haba. It's hard for you to relate to heaven. It's hard for you to relate to Gehenom. It's hard for you to relate to something that's so far away. Understanding that there's a purpose to this life will give you a different perspective of everything that you do every day. Meaning that if now you understand that every time you suffer in this world, it's helping you rectify certain sins that you've made in this world so you don't have to suffer much longer and much worse later on. Already, your suffering now has a different value. Without it, suffering is just torture. You feel like you're just a victim all the time. Whereas if somebody told you, listen, carry this huge sack, 300 pounds, up the mountain. That doesn't sound like a fun. And you don't really want to do it. But if you feel like you have to, you go do it. But if 3/4 up the mountain, they call you, say, hey, listen, by the way, your payment is the sack. If you get up to the mountain, your payment is the sack. You're like, oh, great, sack, this 300-pound sack, I don't care. I don't care about the sack. I just hate you right now. I'm thinking about all the curse words I can think of that you made me carry this 300-pound sack up the mountain. It's like, oh, by the way, the sack is full of diamonds. Oh, it's like, oh, why don't you call earlier? Ding, 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 ding. You start dancing up the mountain. It's like, oh, give me another sack. You want more? Why? Because now you understand the value of it. That's the value of suffering in this world. Value of suffering in this world, when you understand that it has a huge amount of value, that it's either here or it's there, everything changes. What is this like? Rabbi Elimelech Biderman, Shiur, is a well-known Magid Shiurim in the Chassidut world. And he said this story, and he says that a businessman came to him actually. And he says to him, Kvod Harav, I don't understand God. I don't understand him. He's like, oh, of course you don't understand. He goes, no, but listen to me. I don't understand what's going on here. Maybe you understand it. I don't understand it. I keep Torah. I do mitzvot, kashrut. I learn. And I do everything. You told me, said, I do it. No, what's the problem? Well, listen. Last month, I had a flight from London to the U.S. I live in London, go to the U.S., only a 2-day trip, business trip. 2 days over there, come back, finish, do the deal, done. I get on a plane, I go to the U.S., I land, within literally an hour or two, I get a heart attack, I'm in the hospital. Hospital, surgery, Shem B'HaShem, Baruch Hashem, thank God. Saved, my life is good, I'm appreciative. I'm in the hospital for a week. Everything is good. But now, since I don't have insurance in America, I have a $30,000 bill for being in the hospital for a week. Now I understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says I deserve a heart attack. I'm not questioning that. I understand I deserve a heart attack. I did something, for sure. It's definitely kaparat avonot, some sin I made in the past. I understand it's better here than over there. That part I understand. What I don't understand is why could HaKadosh Baruch Hu speed up the process 6 hours? Why couldn't he give it to me in London? Why do I have to go all the way to America to have a heart attack and now I'm in the hole for $30,000? Rav Biderman says, look at this kfui tova. Look at this ungrateful son of HaKadosh Baruch Hu who does not see the chesed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him. He says, you say yourself that you understand that you deserve the heart attack. He says, yes. You deserve it. Yes. I don't know why, but I know I deserve it. If I got it, I deserve it. As Gemara says. Gemara says, anything that happens to a person, even if it's a fingernail falls off, fingernail gets hurt, anything, he deserves it for sure. It's actually in last week's parasha. Last week's parasha, at the end of the parasha, I don't know if you guys paid attention, end of the parasha, it says, their blood is upon them. Damim bam. Anytime a person, something happens to them, if they decide to be a idol worshiper, if they decide to be a thief, if they decide to do something, they don't do tshuva and punishment comes to them, damim bam. Damim bam meaning, they brought this upon themselves. So you understand that. He says, I understand it. He says, here's the problem. You try to rationalize God and you figure maybe he could give it to you earlier. You don't understand the chesed part. The kindness that he gave you. Oh, he saved my life. He goes, no, not that part. The fact that he gave it to you in America, you don't understand. Because I don't understand that. He says, let me explain it to you. We can't understand Hashem. But I can give you a facet of what it could be. Obviously, we both agree that you deserve a heart attack. Sure. What you're forgetting is that you also in Shamayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it's not the heart attack per se that you deserve. You deserve to lose $30,000 on your health. You deserve it. He says, I agree. He says, here's the problem. What you're forgetting is, if he would have done it 6 hours earlier, it would have happened in London. He says, yeah, it's better. He says, no. Why? In London, you have insurance. In London, you have insurance. So your insurance would have covered $29,000 out of the $30,000. You have a $1,000 deductible, right? He goes, yeah, it's a good policy. United Health. Here's the problem. You still owe $29,000. So what does the Kadosh Baruch Hu have to do? He says, okay, he has insurance. Bad for him, not good for him. Why? He still owes $29,000 in Shamayim in heaven. A decree against him, $30,000 to waste on health. So what happens? The heart attack now has to have a complication. The heart attack has to have a complication. You have to come back for a second surgery, but you still have insurance. It's $2,000 now. And then the complication hurts the liver. Second surgery, it's another $5,000. What'd you cover so far? $7,000. Then you have to have another surgery. They give you the medicine, but the medicine has a bad reaction. $500. And now a 4, 5, 6, 7-year nightmare to cover this $30,000. Hashem says, let's just get it over with. Let me give it to him one shot because I love him. Spend the $30,000 once, and he doesn't have to suffer for the next 5 years. But instead of saying thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, look at this chutzpan. Look at this rude person complaining to me. Why did you do this and why did you do that? You see, Rabotai Yekarim, if a person simply looks at the big picture without looking at the details, then he's already fell prey to the Satan. That's what the Satan wants us to do. The Satan wants us to get the big picture, but not the small details. And that's one of the biggest problems that people have today, even after they do tshuva, even after they're religious, even after they get the basic concept of Judaism and Torah, is that they don't get the small details. They simply think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu manages the big picture, but not the small details. So that's what causes them to fail altogether. They think that, yeah, he gave him the job, but as far as the customers, the money, the ideas, I have to do. He gave him this, but he has to do other things. And they constantly try to wheel and deal because they're trying to figure out how they could bring more to the table instead of simply relying on Hashem. But when a person relies on HaKadosh Baruch Hu in every aspect of his life, then he not only gets to Olam Haba and heaven and benefits eternity, but he also lives heaven here. To finalize everything, I'll give you a story to take home about a Rav Elyashiv, alav shalom. Rav Elyashiv, at 24 years old, he went to the doctor, and the doctor told him, and the people that was in the room with him, that his heart is so weak, maximum he gives him 2 months to live. And they said, Doc, why only 2 months? He says, because his heart is so weak that as soon as somebody upsets him, his heart's not going to be able to handle it. So of course, I'm assuming that even if everybody is careful, and everybody is conscious of it, something's going to annoy him at some point. Somebody's not going to pay on time, somebody's not going to come on time, somebody's going to yell, something's going to happen within a couple of months max, somebody's going to have to upset him, and at that point, you already say Kaddish. Well, as the Kadosh Baruch Hu would have it, years passed by, the doctor died, the nurse died, the other nurse died, some of the people in the room died, everybody died except the Rav Elyashiv. He got to 100 years old. He got past 100 years old. No one really knows how old he was. Some say he was 105. Some say he was 110. Some say he was more. Like after 100, they stopped counting. Like Rav Ephraim says that Rav Kaduri was 100 years old for at least 20 years. He said for at least, he says, my whole life, for 20 years, he was 100 years old. At least 100 years old for at least 20 years. After 100, everybody stops counting. So they asked the Rav Elyashiv, Kod Harav, how'd you do it? Like, what's the secret? He says, all the things in the world, I simply understood what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants for me. All the things in the world, the difficulty, this, all the things that people deal with, I let it only get to my button. Meaning, I never let it enter. People mistreated Rav Elyashiv in such awful ways, it's embarrassing to even repeat it, because the people that did it were Jews. People would write, Halacha, post the posters all over Bnei Brak, with the signature of Rav Elyashiv, but the opposite of what he said on purpose. He said, not allowed. They'd write, say, Rav Elyashiv said it's allowed. On purpose, not like a mistake. Constantly, it happened constantly. People would come to Rabbi Elyashiv, Kvod Rav. They're saying you said it's allowed. They're saying you say it's allowed. It's all over Bnei Brak. It's all over the streets, and they're panicking. Hey, Rabbi Elyashiv would say, okay, tell them I said it's not allowed. No, but Rabbi, it's a posters. It's a Bnei Brak. It's Yerushalayim, and people are mistaken. They're trying to heat him up. They're trying to. Okay, so just tell them that I said no. It's not allowed. No, right, yeah. Okay. Same response, constantly. Just tell him I said it's not allowed. I said it's not allowed. Rabotai, one time, a group of crazy people decided that they didn't like the Psak Halacha of Rav Elyashiv. So a group from Mea She'arim decided, in an older age already, he's already at least 90 years old at this point, to decide that, what's the solution? Stone him. They take rocks and they start throwing rocks at Rav Elyashiv, the Gedol Hador. He's 90 years old. He's trying to go to Beit Knesset. They start throwing rocks at him. Now, you're not trying to hurt him. You're trying to kill him, simply. Okay. Tell him it's not allowed. How can you do such a thing? How can you do such a thing for 100 years, 120? How? When you understand that you did what you are supposed to do, you did your job, you did your ishtadlut, you filled your role, the rest of it is none of your business. Everything, all the outcome, all the results, all the success, all the failure, everything is in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It has nothing to do with you. You are only responsible to do. Everything else, not your responsibility. When you really live like this, and you understand the two major principles. One, Olam Haba, there's Gan Eden, Gehenom. I did my ishtadlut, I'll have Gan Eden. I didn't do my ishtadlut, I don't have Gan Eden, to say the least. Secondly, everything in this world has a purpose. The world itself has a purpose. I did my ishtadlut. Whatever the outcome is, that's part of the purpose. It's just not my problem. Hashem decided to bring these rocks at me as part of the purpose. I don't know what role these rocks are filling as part of the purpose, but surely HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a purpose for these rocks. Surely these people taking my Psak Halacha and turning it upside down to embarrass me, to embarrass the Torah, has a purpose. Surely people completely ignore what I said about wigs, that they're Avodah Zarah. Surely that has a purpose too. Everything has a purpose. I did my job. I'm finished. When a person actually puts this all in the front of their brain, where they literally live like this, where they know I am responsible to do Avodat Hashem. I'm responsible to serve Hashem like He wants me to serve Him. As far as what happens with all of it, not my problem. Whatever Hashem decides, that's what He decides. I'm going to operate at full force, 150 miles an hour like a lion, with or without the outcome that I desire. Why? Because at this point, he arrived at a point where he doesn't desire anything himself. He desires what Hashem desires. And that's alvai aleinu. Alvai aleinu, to arrive at such a point, at some point in our life, where our desires become Hashem's desires, and His desires become our desires. That's the point of Bitachon. Bitachon, the ultimate level of bitachon, of confidence, can be achieved once a person decides to make HaShem's desires into his. Once HaShem's desires are yours, it's much, much easier to live life, because now your bitachon is simply at 100% capacity at all times. Because all you have now is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All you care now is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All you need now is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And you're living that way, not just thinking that way. There's much more to say about the issue, but I think, B'ezrat Hashem, today we covered enough. Any questions?
Did Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son have a calendar in that cave?
They had malachim with them. They had malachim with them that told them a lot of different things, much more than just a calendar. Next question.
Somebody has to worry only about Ishtadlut, but he has to, and not the success. And why does he need to seek business advice on how to run his business?
I'll answer the question with a story. The question is, if a person only has to worry about Ishtadlut, why should he even seek business advice? Now, business advice in general, or any advice, it all depends where it's coming from. If the business advice that we're referring to is coming from a professional, then he could be somebody that could help. He could be somebody that doesn't help. But if the business advice is from a chacham, then you're not necessarily asking for business advice per se. You're asking for da'at Torah. You're ensuring that what you're doing is in line with da'at Torah. You're in line with the opinion of the Torah, whether your business is kosher or not, whether your business is doing the best that it can, and so on and so forth. Like, for example, right now there's a business industry that has ballooned in success, at least monetarily, over the last 6 or 7 years, that every single person, and I'm saying this without a doubt in my mind, every single person in that business definitely does not have a share in the world to come. And unfortunately, many of the people in his business are Jews. One day, B'ezrat Hashem, will do a lecture about it, but that's enough to say about that. If a person seeks da'at Torah about a business, then it's not just business advice, it's learning and doing. Now, if it's consulting from a professional, then that's not as necessary. And the reason why is because there was once a gabai that was a gabai of a Beit Knesset for 20 years. And that's the best job that he can get. He wasn't literate, he wasn't able to read, he wasn't able to write, but he was able to clean the shul, he was able to fix the shul, he was able to tell people what time to come, what time to leave. And after 20 years of doing this, the shul expanded, and with things as they are, the shul expected more from the people that are running it. And it told the Gabbai, it's like, listen, we want you to start organizing things much more professionally, put it on a computer, put it in a Microsoft Office, we want you to print out reports, and so on and so forth. He said, yeah, you may not realize, but I've here for 20 years, I don't know how to read or write. So all this stuff that you want me to do, I don't know how to do it. He said, well, listen, we're sorry, but we're expanding. The Keilah has gotten much bigger. We have a much bigger need, so we're sorry, but we can't continue to hire you. Can't continue to employ you. And they let him go after 20 years. That's part one. Sounds like a really sad story. Well, since the guy did not have many skills and did not have much money, he decided that, okay, what could I possibly do? I could buy and sell stuff. So he went to the market and he said, I don't really know anything about anything. I know a little bit about tools since I worked in the shul and I fixed a few things. So he found a few guys selling hammers for cheap. Instead of $3 a hammer, $1 a hammer. He said, okay, you know what? I have $300. Give me 300 hammers. And he bought 300 hammers. And then he sold them, found a buyer, store down the street, store down the road, for $3 a hammer. And he made a little bit of living off of that. And he did it again. Next time he bought some pliers too, and some hammers, and some pliers, and some tools. And little by little, he started wheeling and dealing. He didn't have to write or read or anything. He just simply needed to know how to add. And he knew what hammers were. He knew what pliers were. And he started doing business this way. As a Kadosh Baruch Hu would have it, within a couple of years, this guy became a tycoon in the tools business. He became so successful that he was now ordering millions of dollars worth of goods from China. On the day that he got the biggest order, over $10 million of goods shipped to him, the owner of the company himself came from China with the delivery. He said, "Oh, how are you, Yaakov? Good. Okay, listen, we have the goods. It's on a container. I just need you to sign here." So he sees Yaakov take one of these little cases with just ink in it. He takes his thumb, puts his thumb on the ink, and then puts it on the, that's his signature. He says, "What is this?" "Sign your name." He goes, "No, this is my signature. This is your fingerprint. I don't want your fingerprint. I want a signature, your name. Put your name." He goes, "I don't know how to write. I don't know how to write." Chinese guy says to him, "Look at that. Without even knowing how to write, look how much success you got. Imagine how successful you would be if you knew how to read and write." He says, "Mr. Chinaman, it's the opposite. If I knew how to read and write, I'd still be at a Gabayat to Bet Knesset, making $300 a week." HaKadosh Baruch Hu closes one door, opens the next. Why? He has to close one in order to open the next. If you believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, you'll never waste a moment thinking it was a sad story on part one. And you're never going to think it's a sad story in your part one in life. If you don't think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the show, not only will you think that part one was a sad story, your whole life becomes one sad story. Why? Because your whole life, most of the time, is constantly part one. It's constantly part one, and you're so sad on part one that even when part two arrives, you're too sad to celebrate. So, yes, ishtadlut is important. Guidance is important. Whether it has to do with your success or not, all depends on where the advice comes from. If the advice comes from Da'at Torah, that's necessary. If the advice comes from Mr. Chinaman, or it comes from some consultant, or it comes from Tony Robbins, or anything like that, that's something you don't necessarily need. You could use it. I mean, they do have some chokhmah, some of these consultants, some of these experts, but it's not a needed part of your life like Torah is. Or Talmid Chacham will give you an answer to anything. So that's also another thing to consider. Next question. Yes?
Not this subject, but what's the halakha on showering on Shabbat? I know I've heard you say before, showering on Shabbat is no.
So which part do you want to...
Yeah, I'm asking because prior to that I heard Rabbi Yosef Nasahi say that some Sephardi's shower on Shabbat. So I don't know.
No, showering on Shabbat is not allowed. Showering Shabbat is not allowed because you'll be warming the water. If there's ever going to be a leniency in regards to it, it would be with cold water, but it's not on Shabbat, rather on Yom Tov. But in general, showering on Shabbat is not allowed. You're not allowed to jump in a pool. You're not allowed, even if the pool is cold, you're simply not allowed to shower on Shabbat. Again, there are exceptions to every case. If somebody has a pikuach nefesh issue and things of that nature, then everything is allowed. You're allowed to even feed somebody pig if there's a life risk. You're allowed to drive on Shabbat if there's a life risk. But as far as showering, for the most part, showering is not a necessary part of somebody's life, and therefore it's not allowed on Shabbat because it will lead to a melacha. But if there was ever going to be a leniency, it would be with cold water, not with hot water. Next.
One more question about
Yep.
I've heard, but I'm not sure. What is the halakha on not grooming during this time?
Omer? The minhag is, there's a minhag. Minhag is that you're not allowed to shave or get a haircut during the Omer. The acceptable minhag is to not shave or get a haircut until Lag BaOmer, which is in about 10 days from now, B'ezrat Hashem. So no shaving, no cutting hair. Now, do you go to Gehenom for shaving? No, but it is a minhag that's acceptable already for many, many generations, and that's the way that we do it. Now, where is their leniency? The leniency is if you're in such a business where you could potentially lose money because you're not groomed. So, Rav Moshe Feinstein, alav shalom, wrote a halacha that it's almost 100 years ago, or a little less than 100 years ago, that there is a leniency if your lack of grooming would lead to a loss. For example, you are in a company where everybody's clean shaven, and the boss says to you that, listen, our law firm, you have to be like the Nazis, you have to be clean shaven, and if not, we're going to fire you. For that case, you're allowed to shave. It's not a sin at all. It's not even a violation. You're allowed to shave if you would lose your job or you lose your living that way. But this leniency is an exception, and it's one that a person should not use unless they absolutely have to. Why? Because I believe it was the same year or year after the Rav Moshe Feinstein put this halacha out, that a person that was a businessman and a salesperson said, so what Rav Moshe Feinstein is saying that, okay, so if I could potentially lose money, then I could shave. Okay, so I have a customer. He's not of the same faith. He's not a Jew. And I know this guy is clean shaven, clean cut. He's that type of guy. I know he cares about everything. He's in a fashion business and everything. If I come to him with my beard, like I just came back from Saudi Arabia, he's not going to like it so much. Okay. The guy shaves. Arrives at the meeting to make a sale. He's already been working on the sale for a few months. He's expecting to close the deal. So they have the meeting, and the non-Jew says to him, listen, I like everything you're saying. I like your company. I was really thinking about doing business with you, but I have one question for you. You're a Jew, right? He says, yes. He says, my Jewish friends that I have, they all have beards now. How come you don't have a beard? The guy is shocked. And he says to him, well, because of business. Because of business, I knew it's not presentable to have a beard, because I don't usually wear a beard. So for business, I didn't want to come to this meeting with you, and you look at me like I would have a beard. I don't know. So I didn't want to turn you off. I wanted to do business. Okay, I'm not interested in doing business with you. He says, but sir, why not? He says, because anybody that puts business before their God, it's not somebody I want to do business with. So you can use that leniency, though. Enjoy. For business. The key is to know there are leniencies in the Torah. You have to use them when you need it, not when you feel like it. Don't use all of your get-out-of-jail-free cards for no reason. That's the simple advice. Most people today, having a beard doesn't really matter. Quite frankly, in this last few years, it's actually become somewhat of a fashion statement. A lot of goyim have beards, so it's not exactly a sign of religiosity like it has been in the past. So I don't really think it makes much of a difference. As far as a haircut, unless you have some type of hormonal problem, how much has your hair grown in the last 3 weeks that you need to get a haircut? The reality is it's more of like a convenience than it is a problem. If it happens to be a problem, if you're a soldier in an army, if it's something like that, then yes, you're allowed to shave. But in general, you should not. Even though it's not a Gan Eden Genom issue, it's simply kavod for the Chachamim, kavod for the minhagim of Am Yisrael, and to be close to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, you have to be close to the Chachamim as well. Next. Okay, so we have our next Shiur B'ezrat Hashem on Tuesday. We have our continuation of our Igeret HaRamban. shiur, please bring your books that I gave everybody. If you don't have it, then I'll give you a new one when you get there. But please bring them. Other thing is also next week, and then next shiur is on Wednesday. We'll be back here. Next week I'm in New York for a part of the week. We'll have a shiur here on Sunday, but then the Tuesday shiur, I'm going to be in New York. I'm going to be in New York Monday and Tuesday, B'ezrat Hashem. And then Wednesday, all depends on B'ezrat Hashem, how I feel. If I have enough koach, I'll do a shiur on Wednesday night. But we'll see. Either way, thank you for learning with me. Baruch Adonai L'olam. Amen ve'amen.